Welcome to the Winner's Circle, the podcast for all Averitt associates, no matter where you are or what you do. Don't forget to subscribe on your podcast app of choice so you don't miss out on future episodes. And now, host of the Winner's Circle, Bailey Pennycuff.
Welcome back to the Winner's Circle podcast, the podcast where we talk about our culture, what we do, what we believe in. And one of those things is promoting from within. A great example of that is Isaiah Woodard, who started as a student driver and is now service center director in Orlando. So without further ado, let's get into a conversation with Isaiah. Isaiah, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. I know you've started your, we'll say, new position in Orlando, but I'm really curious at the very beginning. Like, when did you get introduced to Averitt? Can you take me through from the very start?
Yeah, well, first off, thank you for having me on today. I'm certainly honored to be on here and proud to be a part of the team. It's just kind of an interesting story, I guess. I went to Suncoast Trucking Academy in Punta Gorda, Florida, and on the second week of our school, Averitt approved this particular school to accept candidates from. So I went on and started researching Averitt Express and trying to see exactly what everything was about. And it was clear from the initial search that this was unlike any other company that I had applied for during the application phase of the school. I saw the uniforms, I saw smiling faces. I went on to YouTube, saw some drivers on there that really just kind of talked about their time at Averitt Express, which sounded fantastic. I've always loved the sports adage, look good, feel good, play good. And I certainly felt like the uniformity that was displayed fit that category and mold to the T.
And then how old were you when you came out of schooling?
That's a toughie. How old was I? When I got out of school, I was 26 years old.
So you had a little bit of work experience prior to that. You say Averitt stuck out to you. Is there anything specific? I know you mentioned the uniforms, or was there anything in the way the drivers had spoke about Averitt? What was calling you towards Averitt?
Yeah, everybody just kind of mentioned that it was a family atmosphere, that there was a culture here unlike any other place. And as a person that likes people, I'd like to be in a culture that genuinely forwards that. And so it certainly attracted me to the team atmosphere and aspect of it.
And how long did you drive initially?
I was on the road for about 8 months. I actually, when I completed the truck driving school, I was kind of pre-hired and went into this board to be able to get a trainer, right? And the trainer there was a trainer that was in Miami, and this trainer decided that they were going to do something else. And so Averitt called back and said, "Hey, listen, unfortunately at this time the trainer fell through." And so they said, "We'd love to have you. We're just looking for a trainer." And so I immediately went to work for a concrete plant and was driving a cement mixer for about 3 months. And then Averitt called back and said, "Hey, listen, we have a trainer for you out of Tampa. And, what do you think about that?" And I said, "Absolutely." And, was off to orientation. The orientation date for me is September 8th, which actually is my oldest son's birthday. And so we kind of share that on that day, which is really incredible.
That's insane.
Yeah. So, then you have 5 weeks in the truck with a trainer, and then you do a week of backing school. Mine was in Cookeville, Tennessee, with Dollar Bill and all those guys. And so, certainly a great experience, and great to see the heartbeat of who Averitt is in that time. I spent about 8 months behind the wheel. And during that time, I just kind of cultivated a relationship with the service center director that was in Fort Myers at the time, and just kind of, being available. "Hey, do you need any trailer moves? Is there anything I can help you with?" And just, "Can you tell me a little bit more about what goes on in the city?" And maybe there's at some point a potential opportunity to find myself in the city. I kind of came in with a 5-year plan, and I knew that I was going to need to be on the road for a period of time. Hope to get into a city position at that time, and then one day try to find my way in an office capacity.
You say you knew you had to be on the road for a little bit of time. Is there anything specifically you learned in your time as a driver that stuck with you throughout your whole career?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the safety aspect of the actual driving itself, just how difficult it can be sometimes for other folks on the road to not understand what we're going through. And then also just how to talk to folks, from shipper to consignee. And then I think one of the greatest things, which, in truckload, typically we're going from customer to customer. And so you do stop at service centers for fuel and shower, maybe to sleep occasionally. And so, one of the biggest benefits to me was that I was able to see so many other service centers and realize that all of these people are from the same cloth, right? Everybody's cut from the same cloth. It's the same culture. It's the same heartbeat. And, it just kind of furthers the point of what was made in orientation, that we are who we say we are. And that's across the system. That's not just in one location. That's not just at the corporate office or facilities. And, it's incredible to see.
Yeah, and from that same vein, cutting from the same cloth, we love promoting from within. You said your service center director at Fort Myers played a role into that. When you knew that you wanted to take that next step, did it feel super comfortable just to go to him and be like, "Hey, if there's an opportunity, let me know"? And how did that go?
Yeah, absolutely. He kind of put me at ease that those possibilities could be there, and so, certainly you kind of have to do the groundwork of making sure that you're really conscious of your personal development, asking questions, seeing whether or not this is a good fit for you, a good fit for Averitt Express, and then raising your hand. And so once you raise your hand, and these things get added to you. Where you have different types of conversations that are more so predicated on who you are as a person. And we kind of talk about it from time to time now, being on this end of it. It's like, we feel like we could teach a lot of people how to, push buttons on a computer, but who are you, and how are you going to treat our associates, and how are you going to help forward and bring things to the team? And so, I think that's the way that the conversations kind of went. And then, really just them, Averitt saying, hey, and identifying and seeing something in you that they would like to take a shot on.
Do you tend to use that in your leadership now, looking for those individual personality traits over, like you said, anyone can be taught anything, but learning and walking through that, is that something you've adopted in, say, your associates that you are now leading?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, we want people to raise their hand. We're always thinking about the future, and we're always thinking about who could fill a slot when somebody else gets promoted, or when somebody retires, or things like that. And so you're identifying people, that are courageous in the way that they approach their work, and they're dependable, and they're consistent, they're coachable, they're approachable, right? And they ask genuine questions because they want knowledge. We're always looking for that, and then once we know that is there, then we work to help kind of foster that as time goes on.
Yeah. And then you said you were driving for 8 months. What did you go to after that? What was the first next step in your journey here at Averitt?
So, probably, not the norm, or maybe even a little bit bizarre, but I was able to move from truckload straight into a frontline leader role there in Fort Myers.
And what was the difference you learned in between being a driver and then helping coordinate how your job originally was going?
Yeah, there was a lot to learn, and I certainly felt like I was drinking through a fire hose there at the beginning, and I hadn't seen our operating system, and so just trying to get down the nuts and bolts of the actual job, along with the leading of people, and along with the understanding, that I'm no longer behind the driver wheel, right? And so we're working to make the best decisions that we can, on a daily basis. I think that what it did help for the associates were when they would come with something, hey, this is a really tight place to get into, we could actually have an educated conversation on what they're actually going through, and see it from their lens. And so I think it allowed us a closeness, that if I hadn't have been a driver, I may not have a frame of reference.
Absolutely, because I mean, our company doesn't function without drivers. So being
Right.
able to talk through something with a driver who is
Hmm.
now giving these leadership tips or making sure that things get done. It does help. Like it feels more comfortable. You actually feel like you can go to them. And how long were you a frontline leader?
About 3 years. Yes.
And then was there ever a point when you were a frontline leader that you were like, yeah, I want to keep going? Like, I love my job. I've learned so much. But was there a moment where you were like, yeah, I wonder if there's another step to this?
Yeah, I really kind of go back to orientation, and I believe I was on day 2 of orientation, and I met Alice Crabtree, who's in our marketing team, and she was leading a portion of the of the of the orientation. And during the lunchtime, we had an opportunity to sit down and kind of talk, and she just, I mean, just personified Averitt's culture. And so, she said, I don't know what it is. It's like this, this thing. People come here and they're gonna stay. And so I kind of felt from that point, I really, embraced the idea that we're gonna make this thing a career, kind of day 2. And so when we were able to, when we're fortunate to get into the frontline leader position, it was just kind of a, I need to learn as much as possible, whether that's this frontline leader position. Um, Had an incredible OS&D associate down in Fort Myers that showed me that those particulars of how everything from that end went. And it just allowed me to help well round who I am and how I can be valuable to the company. And so, prior to becoming the service center director in Fort Myers, I was kind of looking around the system to see where the opportunities were, and wanted the opportunity to be in a larger market at some point. Didn't know if it was the right timing at that time. But I knew that we wanted to be here, and it didn't matter if it was, in Fort Myers specifically, or anywhere kind of in our footprint.
Yeah. And how was your priorities kind of shifted after being from a driver, frontline leader, now service center director at Orlando? How do your priorities change, or how do you view a different way of thinking as you go up and up that ladder?
Yeah, just servant leadership, right? And just continuing to genuinely care for people, not being fake about it, actually caring about people, wanting to see people succeed, wanting to see people grow and develop. And it makes everything so much more enjoyable. It also adds a layer of trust with the associates that you can't get with just lip service.
What's some ways that you integrate that into how you're currently doing at the Orlando Service Center?
So we do a lot of listening, right, and a lot of observing, taking care of our associates, giving clear and concise communication, being transparent, and making sure that we're not stifling ideas in what somebody else may bring to the table. They may be a new associate, they may be a 30-year associate, can be anybody. And so just understanding that everybody's a valuable team member and associate, and just want to see them grow and succeed. And so we're gonna look at it from that lens.
And then being at the position you are now as service center director, you've kind of had a foot in the door or been in every single stage of the process. Does it change how you're thinking about certain interactions with drivers, with frontline leaders, with op managers? Is there certain things you're looking for that stick out when you're just doing day-to-day work?
I just think that we're looking for like-minded individuals. It's kind of like, the People Like Us campaign. We're looking for people in every facet of all of the occupations that we have underneath the Averitt umbrella, to genuinely want to forward themselves, forward Averitt Express as a whole, and forward their fellow associate.
And then, like you were sticking your hand up. Um, is there any times that you see you're like, this associate's doing something that I didn't even think about, and it already is elevating their status. Like, if they ever are interested, I think they're going to be perfect for this. Or a better way of asking that is, what advice would you give to drivers who might be looking to go up in the system or be promoted or looking for that next step?
Yeah, I would, number one, raise your hand. Number two, listen, learn, ask well thought out questions. Uh, be an A player every day. And so it's one thing to say that you want more or that you want something different. It's another thing to live that every single day in your interactions with your fellow associates and your deliveries, in how you approach work, how you come in, what your uniform looks like, and just kind of how you choose to go through your day. Is it kind of somber? Is it in a fashion where you've got this infectious smile and persona about you that people kind of naturally gravitate towards you, and and you can see it. You can look out into a room and see who guys kind of gravitate towards and who's the voice of the room, and typically those are the guys that are really wanting to do something more.
Yeah. And currently, service center director at Orlando. I think you've said it before. You're kind of in the honeymoon phase still, getting your foot in that position. What are your aspirations for Orlando? Do you have any big plans, any big things you want to go for?
Yeah, so number one, just embracing the associates and coming in and learning folks. What an incredible foundation that has been built here over the last 30 plus years, and so just really working to build upon that and forward it. We would like to get into some things. Moving forward that maybe we haven't really kind of tapped into. So we're kind of excited about those prospects and possibilities, and just continue to be focused on the task at hand and understanding that we are a sprocket in a bigger wheel, here in the system, and we always want to be towing the line in the same direction as everybody else throughout our system.
Thank you so much for coming on. Is there anything you'd want to say to the associates, maybe the drivers out there who are looking to climb, or just anything you want to add before we end off?
The leadership group has really put us in a position to be successful. They've given us the tools. Um, they've provided an understanding that we all have of what it takes to be successful. And if you're just willing to embrace that, you have endless possibilities. It's a journey that benefits you. It's a journey that benefits your life. It's a journey that benefits your family, one that will challenge you, one that will help you grow. Um, and if you choose to embrace it, it's one that will allow you to realize your dreams.
I love that. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Well, Isaiah, I thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure for me to learn from you, honestly. And the little time that we've had just here and the interactions we've had before, I've learned a lot. So thank you personally. And I think everybody's going to love hearing your story. So thank you for coming on.
I appreciate that. Thank you.